Good morning. Good morning. My name is Christine Harper, and I have to make one confession. I've done a lot of jobs in this church, but I have not been on the choir. I did sing a duet once, and y'all didn't ask me, so I'm not joining the choir. Let me start with a short story. The kindergarten teacher wanted to teach her students about self-esteem. She asked the class for anyone who thought that they were dumb to stand up. She gazed around the room, certain that no one would stand. And then little Johnny stood up. The teacher said, "Now, little Johnny, you don't think you're dumb, do you?" Little Johnny said, "No, I just hate to see you standing up there all alone." Today, I'm standing up here all alone, but I feel the support of my coach, my prayer partners, and many, many friends. Thank you all for this opportunity. Today is the first Sunday of Lent. Lent is a 46-day period between Ash Wednesday and Easter Sunday. The days are getting a little bit longer. I could tell this morning when I too asked Alexa, it was a little earlier than you, so it was like 20 degrees. And I'm like, this is not cool. But spring is coming, spring is coming. At this church, we are celebrating the Lenten season with the booklet called Fasting and Feasting. That booklet is sold for $1 and it's available in our bookstore. Each day, it gives us some guidance about something that we can let go of and something that we should be celebrating in order to enrich our life. In the bulletin, it says that the topic today is the forgiveness pill. And you've probably heard that you have to give your topic weeks in advance. So it was good at the time. But we're still going to talk about forgiveness. We'll look at it from a few different perspectives. I'm going to start with a Sufi saying, "Life is a balance between holding on and letting go." Rumi said, "Grace comes to forgive and then forgive again." My hero, Nelson Mandela, said, "When a deep injury is done to us, we never heal until we forgive." And he continues, "As I walked out of the door towards my freedom, I knew that if I did not leave all the anger, hatred, and bitterness behind, that I would still be in prison." And from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., "Forgiveness is not an occasional act, it is a constant attitude." Lastly, from Mother Teresa, "If we really want to love, we must learn to forgive." So all of these perspectives on forgiveness are really saying the same thing. It's something you have to do sincerely and you have to do often. Last week, one of the daily words was about forgiveness, and it read, "Forgiveness is divine love expressing through me. Experience tells me that holding on to resentment saps my energy, so I make a choice not to brood over unkind words or actions said by or done by another. Instead, I forgive because as I look back, I realize that I too may have blurted out words or caused anguish that I wish I could take back. That's not who I am. And that's likely not who the other person is either. Forgiveness lightens my personal emotional burdens. It is one of the ways that divine love expresses as me. It frees me to be the peaceful, cheerful person that I really am. It is a gift that I give to myself. I am a better person for my willingness and ability to release the resentment I have been holding. And from Luke 6:37-38, do not judge and you will not be judged. Do not condemn and you will not be condemned. Forgive and you will be forgiven. Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together and running over, will be poured onto your lap. For with the measure you see, that you use, it will be measured to you. So as we're hearing, again, repeatedly, forgiveness is not just about the other person. It's really for the beauty of your soul. It's for your own capacity to fulfill your life. Forgiveness is, in particular, the capacity to let go, to release the suffering, the sorrows, the burdens or the pains and betrayals of the past. Let them stay in the past. Forgiveness shifts us from the small, separate sense of ourselves to a capacity to renew, to let go, to live in love. As the Bhagavad Gita says, if you want to see the brave, look to those who can return love for hatred. If you want to see the heroic, look to those who can forgive. With forgiveness, we are unwilling to attack or wish harm on anyone, including ourselves. And without forgiveness, life would be unbearable. It's actually hard to imagine a world without any forgiveness, because we would be chained to the suffering of the past and have only to repeat it over and over again. There would be no release. When someone betrays you, you can hate them, or at some point you can say, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to live day after day with hatred. Because for one thing, that person who betrayed you could be in Hawaii right now having vacation, and you're waking up to 20 degrees. Here's a forgiveness practice that you may want to keep in mind, you may want to adopt. A few years ago, a Reiki practitioner at the end of our session shared these words with me. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. I didn't know what she was talking about. I simply soaked it in because it felt right. Now, those words have come back to me over and over in different circumstances. And I did some research on it. It's actually the Hawaiian practice of forgiveness and reconciliation. It's called Ho'oponopono. And it's a very sacred practice. So let's try it. Repeat after me. I love you.
I love you.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me.
And thank you.
Thank you.
I try to look for the good in everyone in every situation. Genesis shares the story of Joseph, who was a young man who was sold into slavery by his brothers. Yet even in the face of his injustice, Joseph held to the inner knowing that God intended it for good. This knowing served as a foundation for forgiveness. Whatever I am facing in life, I proclaim the good in everything. Through my faith, my focus remains on my spiritual abilities to transform circumstances into opportunities that benefit everyone. As my ability to work peaceably through all situations increases, my capacity to let go and forgive is strengthened. I feel the freedom and joy that comes with absolute forgiveness. I look for the good in everything. I look for the good in everything. Everything? Everything? The other day, I said that I would stay home and work on this talk, get it finished. And after my morning gratitude journaling and my meditation and my 6:30 a.m. prayer call, I made a cup of coffee and sat down and opened up the laptop. I opened the file called March 1st Prep and promptly got an error. Microsoft Word is reporting an error. Please check this box if you want to restart Word. Sorry for the inconvenience. Oh boy, here we go. Of course I want to restart Word. I repeated the process and I got the same error. I did it a third time and got the same error. What's the definition of insanity? Repeating the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. The fourth time, I shut down the computer completely and restarted. So during that restart, I'm taking deep breaths and I start praying because I have work to do here. The document would not stay open. No, this is not happening, not today. I fast on doubt and I feast on faith. That was the affirmation that we were working with that day. I stayed at church all day yesterday for the Ash Wednesday retreat. Come on, God. Can I get a break? How could I have corrupted this important document? So I start searching Google to find out what this error really means and what I can do. I start texting friends, trying to find phone numbers of people that might know how to help me. Remember, it's still 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, so I'm not getting a whole lot of response. I say to myself, Christine, pause for a minute, take a breath. What would you say if someone called you with this kind of dilemma? No, I wouldn't say, what is in your consciousness? Who are you holding a grudge against that's preventing you from moving forward? I'd probably say, go do something else for a few minutes and come back to this with a fresh set of eyes. Okay, so I check my email, and there's a note marked urgent from a client. She needs revisions on work that I sent her 4 weeks ago. And of course, she needs it today. I took a deep breath. It was caused by a mistake I made, so yes, I'm going to, be responsive and try to get this fixed. But today, of all days, I exit email and I go back into Word and I open up her documents. And it won't open. It won't stay open. So now I'm starting to use my computer skills and I figure out that this must not be a document problem, but an application problem. So I'm going to need some help beyond what I can do. I call tech support and I get somebody on the line. I actually give him access to my system and I'm watching the whole time, trying to learn as well as figure out, what is he doing and what's he trying. He's trying this and that and the other thing. He's checking security settings. He's checking templates. He's checking installation levels of my software. And it's not being repaired. The March 1st prep document is not staying open. By 11 o'clock, he admits that he needs some help and he's going to kick me over to level 2. So hold on. All right, now I'm sweating. I'm getting really anxious because I have things to do. I have to get my car to admissions. It's already late. I have to run some errands. This is not what I had planned for this day. I text my Unity prayer partner, admitting that I am very frustrated and near tears. And she texts back, pause, take a break, and come back to it with fresh eyes. I chuckled because I had already done that, but I knew she was right. I had no doubt that the client's work would get done and that my talk would get completed. I fasted from doubt and I feasted on my faith. I know this problem will be resolved in some way. I eventually opened the documents using another application and got the work completed. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that my laptop is about 6 years old. And I bought it refurbished. So it's a few years past the recommended lifespan of a laptop. I forgave myself immediately for repeatedly saying that I was going to look into replacing it and not doing anything. You ever done that? Yeah. So I have faith. I'm feasting on faith right now that a new laptop is in my future. Let's look at Psalm 103. If you, Lord, kept a record of sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that we can, with reverence, serve you. I wait for the Lord, my whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. When we can forgive and we are free of that resentment, we can properly serve God. I looked up a few different religions. I said, what does Islam have to say about forgiveness? Islam says, seek forgiveness from Allah on a daily basis. We would love Allah more by knowing how kind and merciful he is. We would never lose faith, and we would immediately seek forgiveness if we commit a sin. Good words. I looked at Buddhism. Buddhism says, forgiveness doesn't excuse their behavior. Forgiveness prevents their behavior from destroying your heart. Good words. A Sufi priest was asked, what is forgiveness? And he replied, it is the fragrance that flowers give when they are crushed. So let me check Judaism. Teachings on forgiveness can be found in the Torah. Judaism teaches that because humans have been given free will, they are responsible for their own actions. If they commit an action which is wrong, then they must seek forgiveness. Forgiveness can only be accepted from the victim. So that was a slightly different twist than the other religions that I looked up. So you can hear some of the similarities, but also discern a few differences. But the basic point is that every faith tradition has a teaching on forgiveness. Not forgiving is like tying one end of a rope around you and the other end around a tree. The rope represents the situation that you don't want to forgive, and the tree represents the other person. No matter how many times you tell the tree to apologize, you are still tied by the rope. If you try to walk away, you can only walk so far before the rope stops you. Now, if you have a dozen grievances, it is like being tied to a dozen different trees, and that is exhausting. Are you going to stay there and start yelling at the trees? Are you going to circle the tree at rope's length? Or will you go out of the resentment and you untie the rope from around you? It takes time, practice, and patience. But over the years, I've had to untie myself from many trees. That doesn't mean that I've run away or that I never get tied up again. It just means that I continue to follow the process and forgive and untie myself from a past situation or past hurt that is really holding me back. Each moment is an opportunity for you to begin again. Each day is an opportunity for you to restart. Remember that. You have a divine purpose. There is work for you to do, and you must be free to do it. Unity truth principles tell us that we already have everything we need within us to live our best lives. When we are all caught up in judgment and resentment, we are not able to explore our potential. God forgives you, so go ahead and forgive yourself. Now, the key to this process, to grow through it, is prayer and meditation. Or as we heard from a Jesuit priest this week, just do nothing for 20 minutes and get to know God as He gets to know you. It's all about being still. Our founder, Charles Fillmore, did forgiveness work every night. Every single night, he asked for forgiveness for his misdoings and forgave each person who offended him on a daily basis. One of our unity affirmations for forgiveness is, and we can repeat this one after I say it, I forgive myself for my mistakes. I forgive myself for my mistakes. And I forgive others for their mistakes. And I forgive others for their mistakes, knowing none of us is perfect. And none of us is perfect. Now that you see the importance of forgiveness, wouldn't it be more convenient if forgiveness was available in a pill form? Pills are compact. You can keep them in your pocket and take 2 whenever you need them. If you could find forgiveness in a pill, surely you would keep a bottle on hand to get your life back and in order quickly. I often say to myself, quickly and sincerely, take the forgiveness pill. There is no pill, but it's a metaphor. And I just keep reminding myself, just get it over with, forgive. Forgive them, forgive yourself. There's a 4-step process for asking for forgiveness, asking God for forgiveness. The first is to uncover what your anger is really about. Step 2, decide that you're going to forgive. 3, work on forgiveness. So that's your prayer and supplication, asking for forgiveness. And then 4, release yourself from an emotional prison. So let's take a deep breath from all of that guilt and resentment. And let me go a little bit deeper. About 6 or 7 years ago, I get a call from my boss, and she says, oh, I've been meaning to talk to you all day. Now, it's 7 o'clock at night. I'm like, uh-huh. And she says, I'm not supposed to tell you this yet, but I'm not allowed to keep 2 managers in this department. And I was one of the 2 managers. And my thoughts immediately were, oh no, we have to let go of the other person? I said, now I'm going to get more, I'm thinking I'm going to get more work. Let me just calm down. You're going to get more work. It's okay. And we continue talking, and she realizes that I didn't get it. That I was being, I was the one being let go. And in that moment, I was like, this is somebody who I liked and respected, but in that moment, my thoughts were not Christian, Islamic, Jewish, none of those that we talked about. It was very, very hateful. And I realized as time went on that I had to let go of condemning her for this situation. I knew it wasn't her fault. I knew that she didn't make this decision alone, but I knew that I was hurt and I was angry, and so I was lashing out. So in the process of learning to forgive her, I had to also forgive myself for reacting that way, because we think we got it all together. You know, we think we know how to, we think we can imitate the Butch Mosby look, right? And stay calm, but sometimes we don't. During that period, while I was tied to the resentment of my boss, I couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't find another job. I couldn't get another interview until I learned to untie that rope of resentment and let go of my anger towards that person and forgive myself for that whole process. After that, I was able to move on. Now, this is a poem written by, and I didn't ask him if I could read it. This is a poem written by a friend, Sherelden Brave, who is a former YFM member at Unity, Washington, D.C. I am a beautiful work of art, sometimes in the eyes of the beholder, always in the mind of the creator. And that's the truth. I forgave myself for ever thinking otherwise. In closing, I'll ask that you start your forgiveness work today. Forgive sincerely and forgive often. Forgive those who you perceive have wronged you, and then forgive yourself. You are beautifully and wonderfully made. Acknowledge that. And if you want forgiveness in the pill form, I'll be selling them out of the trunk of my car after church, because I do need a new computer. Peace and blessings.